And they said when we launched, we sold music at 49 cents a track. It was a loss leader to get people in. But it was with the understanding that after 3 months, we did it over a summer, and come the fall, we would raise the price up to 99 cents, just like all the other vendors. And what we found is that people bought 3 times as much music at 49 cents a track than they did at 99 cents a track. Well, digital goods, they don't have an incremental cost. So you'd think that the smart thing to do would be to say, okay, we're going to lower the price back down to 49 cents because we're making more money, right? We're putting more money in our pockets at 49 cents than we are at 99 cents. But the record labels wouldn't lower their wholesale cost for individual tracks below 70 cents. And the reason they wouldn't do it is because they said they didn't want 99-cent customers buying tracks at 49 cents. So they were really committed to doing this thing, even though it was pathological to their business. They were really committed to doing it, even though they were putting less money into their bank balance every month. So that's a kind of negative example. A positive example is what Google did, right? Google drove the cost of classified advertising down through the floor, and so did Gumtree and Craigslist, but Google made a science out of it, mostly by figuring out how to actually automate a lot of the back-end processes. So they just made it cheaper for them to do it, so they could offer it on a cheaper basis. And what they found was that just like this music service that found that there was 3 times as much demand lurking out there for music than had previously been thought, Google found that there was thousands of times more demand for classified ads than it had ever been thought. That there were a bunch of people who just weren't in the market when the market was buying an ad in the back of the newspaper, and who came into the market when the market was pay 11p every time someone clicks on your ad for plumbers who will fix your drains in N1 on weekends. And those people just didn't and weren't in the business of taking out classified ads, and they were in the business of taking classified ads when Google dropped the price low enough. And we discovered a new market lurking out there. So broadly speaking, price discrimination is the strategy of firms that are established, that think that they know what the entire market looks like. So we've mapped the world, and now the Pope is sitting down with the kings of Spain and Portugal to figure out which bits go to who. Right? We're trying to figure out how to divide up the customers that we know about. And demand elasticity, broadly speaking, is the strategy of firms that believe that the market itself is going to continue to grow. And this is why it's been a strategy of internet firms for a long time, because the internet itself has been growing. And so if you've got an offering that's interesting to 10% of internet users, 10% of internet users will itself be a bigger number every month. And so you can just keep the prices low, and new customers will just keep flowing through your door for so long as the internet grows, for so long as there's local councils paying to teach OAPs to go on Google. There will be new markets opening up all the time, all around the world, and you'll be making money. Now, no business does one or the other. Everyone has a set point that's somewhere between sort of 0 and infinity for price discrimination and for demand elasticity. But by and large, if you're in a business that started with Gutenberg's printing press, I think by and large you have the intuition that you know who wants to buy books, and now you're figuring out how to sell them best. And if you're in a business that was invented like a year ago in a garage in Stanford, California, you're of the opinion that you don't know exactly who's interested in your business, and you'd like to keep the pricing low and figure out how to bring more people through the doors. But you can see this in written large and small in lots of ways. So the North Americans in this room, maybe some of the Britons, will know an old TV show called Gilligan's Island. Anyone know Gilligan's Island? Anyone not know Gilligan's Island? Gilligan's Island was a TV show that was created by Sherwood Schwartz, who also created The Brady Bunch. And he was the master of terrible, long-running 60s sitcoms. Like, each of them went for like 12 seasons. And the premise of Gilligan's Island is that 7 people have been marooned on an island. And every week they almost get off, but they don't. And you can watch an episode of Gilligan's Island without having seen any of the other ones and get as much benefit out of it as you would if you've watched all of them. You can watch an episode of Gilligan's Island from the second commercial break without having watched the first 2/3 of the show and get as much out of it. It requires 0 commitment. And to my mind, this arose around 1956. I believe American television penetration around them was like 65%. So TV itself was growing. It was an expanding market. And so what they were making were shows that had virtually no barrier to entry. You didn't have to watch the show every week. You didn't even have to watch the show all the way through. You could just the fact that it was on telly was enough to kind of make it a successful show. And so now TV, I think we'd agree, is a pretty mature market. In fact, it's probably a contracting market. The broadcasters believe that they know about everyone who wants to watch TV and approximately what they want to do, and now they're figuring out how to chop up that market into smarter and more specialized niches. And so we have Lost, which is almost the same premise, right? A bunch of people lost in an island. Except not only can you not skip, part of an episode of Lost, you can't skip any of the episodes of Lost. You have to start with episode 1 and take notes to continue watching Lost, right? Lost is essentially saying we're going to sacrifice volume for depth. We're going to figure out how to take this niche of people who essentially, they're the world's most committed Sudoku completers, and we're going to make a television show just for them and advertise to those people. Because we don't really care about bringing more people into TV. We don't have to be accessible to get people watching TV anymore. Now we need to be a specialist to get people watching TV. But the New York Times has just done this too, right? The New York Times, I think, has a pretty reasonable belief that no one out there hasn't heard of the New York Times who wants to read the New York Times. And so they've got a paywall they claim they're putting up, although frankly, the New York Times has got a bunch of people who program computers for a living who work for them. And if the New York Times wanted to put up a paywall, they would just put up a paywall. The New York Times saying, we will put up a paywall sometime in 2011 is actually a way of saying, does anyone else want to put up a paywall if we put up a paywall? Because maybe if we all did it at once, it would be okay. But they don't, we need a year to plan and execute our paywall is actually by way of saying we're going to do nothing for the next 12 months except rattle sabers and then we'll write some software. But they're claiming that they're putting up a paywall, and more or less we can say that the reason that they're putting up this paywall is because they think that they know all the people who are going to want to read the New York Times, and now they're figuring out how to maximize their revenue from a small number of New York Times readers, even if it costs them a lot of people who might otherwise come through the door at a much lower revenue point, at a few banner ads worth of revenue. But the strategy gets harder and harder to pursue because of the internet. So when the internet came along, a lot of people thought that it would be especially, well, not just the internet, but computers, would be the savior of price discrimination. Because you could make these like geolocated offers. You could go, oh, well, I see that you're buying in this postcode. We're gonna throw this in along with it, or we're gonna charge the price. We're gonna raise the price or lower the price. With DRM, you can make offers like, you can read for 1p, I'll give you to read this book. I'll give you the right to read this book for the next 10 seconds. Right, and so just you capture those 10-second readers, and you get the penny out of them that they're willing to part with, even if you couldn't get the pound that they might pay for the right to read it just on Wednesdays, right? And you can make a special offering for people who go to museums. You can make another offering for people who only read on after sunset and so on. You could have the discounted book that if you kept Shomer Shabbos, you couldn't read it after sunset on Fridays. You just like the complete range of offers. This was the initial thought about the internet gold rush, was that we were just going to segment the shit into markets. And actually the internet's completely destroyed this. So Disney has got a great market segmentation strategy, a great price discrimination strategy. They only sell their DVDs every 7 years. So any given DVD is on sale for about 7 years, and then it goes back into the Disney vault for 7 years. And it creates a sense of urgency, and it's newsworthy when it comes out of the vault, and so on. And this worked really well until eBay came along. And now all that putting a DVD back in the vault does is makes it so that I can't buy it at full price on the high street and actually give money to Disney. Instead, I buy it used on eBay and give no money to Disney. So this strategy is essentially just imploded. Although Disney hasn't recognized it, you'll still, if you get PR Newswire, you'll still get an announcement every couple of weeks about this movie coming into the vault and this movie going out of the vault. Run and buy this movie now! It's going back in the vault. And as a parent of a 2-year-old. I don't pay full price for kids' DVDs because A, she likes to put them on the floor, put her foot on it, and skate across the floor with it. And B, you can get them all for about £1.99 on Amazon. And so all that putting in the vault does is keeps it out of places where people might buy it full price.